All right, everyone, it is Thanksgiving week, and you know what that means. Time to eat like it is the end of the freaking world. Panic buy all of your Christmas presents on Black Friday. Try not to talk about politics with your family, but most importantly, it is time to watch some Thanksgiving Day football, baby. Hello and welcome to In The Crosshairs, your definitive resource for all things sports betting. I am, of course, your host, Ali Melendez, and I'm here to make sure you all have the information you need to win some money on this Turkey Day. You're welcome. And to help me with that, well, I have two of Line Sniper's expert analysts joining me before they have to run out to get the stuffing and cranberry sauce. It's America's sports betting sweetheart, Mr. Joey Knish. Joey, how are you, buddy? You ready for Thanksgiving?
I'm loaded up. I'm ready to go. We got, turkeys in the oven. A little bit of small gathering here. Keep it very, distance and safe. Cranberry sauce is really where it's at for me. But I see they brought out the big guns since today. The money line is, they brought the boss over there. I'm seeing that. I had been taking them down, ready to go one by one, and now they're bringing out the big guns here. So I'm excited today to see what Danny over there's got.
We are so blessed on this holiday week because joining you, Mr. Knish, we have our, of course, boss of bosses, Mr. Danny Chang in the house. Now, Danny, are you ready to watch some football and eat some food, man? How you feeling? How you doing?
I'm excited. I saw Joey come on over the last few weeks and take down a few #1 contenders, so I figure I'd get into the ring a little bit, duke it out.
I'm not letting the belt go this easy, just because he's signing the paycheck.
This is going to be like a Tyson Roy Jones Jr. fight, like over 50 fight. So I'm excited for it. Happy to be on, guys.
Lots of good energy in here today, and of course, I'm excited to get started because we are going to talk about all three of these Thanksgiving Day NFL games, and then I have some more stuffing for you, sweet gentlemen. But first off, let me remind you guys to check out linesniper.com for all of our betting tools, calculators, up-to-date best bets, and so much more. And of course, follow us on social and right here on YouTube at LineSniperHQ so you don't have to miss a thing ever. All right. It is time, because I'm talking way too much. No more delays. It's time to just jump right into it because I want to dig right into these Thanksgiving Day games. Usually we have too many games for us to even talk about each of them in depth. But Joey, Danny, I want to get all of the juicy details about these games, the best lines, what to watch, all of that good stuff. Let's start off with the first game. Let's start with the Houston Texans versus the Detroit Lions. So Texans, 3-7 so far. Lions, 4-6. Both teams, they're pretty mediocre. I would say Deshaun Watson is probably a bit better than Matt Stafford, but honestly, with both of these teams, it is probably close. But you two are the experts, not me. That's why I want to get your take on this. So, Danny, we're going to let you lead on this one. What do you like in the Detroit on this Turkey Day?
So my philosophy is always go against Joey Knish on these things. So definitely never the Lions on these. No, but we've been working on this interesting theory on NFL this year that on short weeks rest, defenses tend to be a little bit worse. They tend to tackle a little bit worse, and we've seen a little bit of a trend towards the over. So we've been doing some work on that. So I kind of actually like the over 51 on this game. I would say that's dependent on a few of the injuries that are being announced, like DeAndre Swift and Golladay and some of the wide receivers on the Texans. But assuming a couple of those guys come back, I actually prefer the over. And on sides and totals, your guess is as good as mine, but I'm also actually, funnily enough, a Lions fan. So if you force me to take a side, I'd take the Lions +3.
Well, I hate to hear that, Dan, because it's like your Thanksgiving is going to be ruined just like the Knish household early. It's a tradition in this household of, by 3 p.m., you're already, the family's, bitching at each other. The team's down by, a couple of scores, and you're ready to basically call it so bring on the food because I can't watch this stuff anymore. Here's what I'll say in this game. You mentioned it, and I could not agree more. The injuries are the biggest factor here. You saw over the weekend when the Lions were a mistake and didn't even get in the red zone against one of the worst defenses in the NFL. They had no Kenny Golladay. They had no DeAndre Swift. They had no Danny Amendola in the slot. Their starting right tackle was out. So all of those guys were limited in practice. So on the short week, normally I would agree with you to the over. It's really going to depend how many of those guys they can get back, because the offense is totally different with Galladay. The Swift adds a lot more explosiveness in the backfield. If you told me right now they all weren't going to play, I would trend towards an under there at 51 or 51 and a half. If they're all back, then I'm with you in the over. So that's one of those for me. You really got to take a look at the injury report, because that for me is side and total as well. It's going to be, if they're playing, I would lean Lions and lean if they're not, then I lean the Texans. So this is one you got to keep an eye on that injury report all week and see what happens, because these players, this isn't some backup fullback here that these are the best Lions players on offense. None of them played, and they're off. And the Stafford thumb, he looked rough over the weekend too. So this is one you got to keep an eye on.
See, I would say something about underestimating Matt Stafford, because I'm pretty sure that's bitten you in the back before, Mr. Knish. But yeah, the Lions are averaging below 23 points across the season, and they dropped a whopping 0 points last week. So I do like the under there. Now, I had Danny start us off on that last topic, because I have a feeling, Joey, you're going to want to talk about this one quite a bit. It's your love-hate Cowboys against the Washington football team, who still don't really have a name. Now, really, either of these teams could take the divisional title in the NFC East, but that's not nearly as good as it sounds. The NFC East is just a trash fire. So, Knish, it is time to go dumpster diving, baby. What do you like here between Washington and the Cowboys? Tell me all your thoughts.
Let me tell you something. You people, I know the people back at the show here at the studio, and you people, you're laughing at me with the Cowboys. They losing early. Dak goes down. We're back, baby. Big win. I told you on the show last week. Cowboys, 7.5, sprinkle the money line. Victory at the Vikings. Team looks better. Dalton looked better. The defense is playing a little better. And I'm taking, what do you think? I'm going to come on here and not take the Cowboys legitimately? I love where this Cowboys team, you're buying low last week against the Cowboys offense that has improved. You've got the defense getting healthier. The team is coming together. And here's what happened. The division is terrible. So all this time that the Cowboys were injured, they lose Dak, they're struggling. The East didn't run away from them. They're still right in the thick of it. Let me tell you something about the football team. This team is, and this is from a guy who was a buyer in the offseason. I don't buy into Alex Smith. I don't buy into their defense. I don't buy into their offensive line. Give me the Cowboys here. It's bouncing around between 2.5 and 3. I'll take the Cowboys. Best price you can find, 2.5 or a 3 at plus money. And Danny, you better jump on to it. Listen, don't go against my Cowboys here today and ruin my Thanksgiving. What do you got for me here on this one?
Honestly, watching the Cowboys and watching the Lions are two special experiences watching both teams. No lead is safe, and you feel a pit in your stomach at halftime for both teams every game. But actually, in this scenario, I would typically tend to agree with you on the Cowboys. I think they made some interesting moves on their offensive line last week that helps them. I think they moved over Zach Martin, and the guy came back. And I think that really helps their run game. And as you've seen with Dak out and Andy Dalton, maybe 80%, 85% of what he typically is. And then, they're horrendous third string quarterbacks, whatever you'd like to call them. I think the Cowboys are the right side here. I think laying 3 is a little bit of juice. But if you told me you could take this line no vig, or you take it at 2.5, I'd happily take it at 2.5 for the Cowboys. I think you can also look at the Cowboys, interestingly enough, for their division price right now. I think it's an interesting play just because of the strength of schedule coming up. I had a very big Cowboys future early on in the year for the division at even money, but I think now with their strength of schedule, I think it's them. And then previously, I thought the Giants were actually an interesting pick to win that division at huge plus money I saw. So those would be kind of my plays. I definitely look into the futures market a little bit at the Cowboys. I think that could be interesting.
Love it, Danny. Love to hear it. And honestly, just listen. At least after Thursday, we won't have.
Look at the smile I'm bringing to Knish's face over here.
I mean, it's a Thanksgiving miracle. I got some in the box over here. wanting to jump on Cowboys futures. I mean, this is really what it's about. Everybody's trashing me on the Cowboys, and then they bring in Danny with the Cowboys. I mean,
Cowboys, Giants. Danny's talking about my Giants. I like Danny more and more on this show. Thank you very much. But hey, at least after this Thursday, we don't have to worry about the NFC East, of course, and what's basically a four-way tie, and maybe the Cowboys will be on top of the pile. I mean, I don't know. At least Knish thinks so. So going back to your old flame there, Joey, but hey, I like it. I'm not going to judge you here and now. I will after the show. All right, and then in the final matchup on Thanksgiving, it is the Ravens taking on the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, guys, the Steelers are playing great, and a lot of people are hovering over that 16-0 bet for them, but there are also a lot of people who think the Steelers are kind of overrated. So Thursday, they're playing the Ravens, who are not a joke team and are absolutely not a pushover, right? So what happens here? Does a Pittsburgh undefeated streak finally grind to a halt, or do the Ravens lose to the Steelers yet again? Danny, what's your take on this?
So my take on these games typically is take the team that, people tend to overreact to. And I think given what you've seen from the Steelers and Ravens, people are typically going to expect the Steelers to be, quote unquote, the better team than the Ravens. I would say this is a unique situation where the Ravens really need to win this game significantly more than the Steelers do, I would say. I know it'd be nice for the Steelers to get the 1 seed, but the Ravens are hanging on to their playoff hopes by the skin of their teeth a little bit. So I would take the Ravens plus 4.5 here. I think that's very interesting play, and I think psychologically it's, if you don't look at anything else, if you don't look at their stats, etc., I think that's an interesting number. And I think there has been a little bit of an overreaction on the Ravens over the last couple of weeks. The narrative is Lamar suddenly can't throw the ball. He's trash, etc. And the Steelers are one of the best teams and could potentially go 16-0. So let's take the dog on this one and ride it out. I think the Ravens plus 4.5 are interesting.
And I would agree with you. It depends. Now, this is another one. We talked about the Lions injury report where you got to watch. You've got to watch who's actually out for Baltimore here with the run. We know officially Dobbins and Ingram, which wouldn't be a 1-point adjustment for me, but potentially there could be others. Nobody exactly knows yet. But this is one of those that you're getting some quote-unquote free points here with the Ravens, as this was, bouncing around 3.5. The Rona report came out. It moved up to 4.5. Depending on who is out here for Baltimore, if it's nobody else that I would deem, very significant, again, I agree with you. I think this number's too high. I think it could even, depending on who's even steam up a little bit more as people as has happened a lot in college football, where without knowing the players, it's instant. You see market steam everywhere. A Rona report comes out, the market immediately hits it. I know some of the groups that are moving it. They're scraping Twitter and that. And they see an injury Rona report, they hit it and move the market. This is one for me that I would wait and see. Look who's out for the Ravens. If it's nobody else outside of the two running backs, then I like the Ravens a lot here, as you're kind of getting a false move on the number that doesn't justify what has happened. So another one to keep an eye on, but I would agree with Danny. If there's a play for me right now, it's Ravens 4.5. Just be on the lookout for, as I saw, this game was even a little bit, and I know the NFL will do whatever they can to get it in, but be on the lookout to see who else is out for Baltimore.
I also like the Lamar over rushing yards this game, funny enough. I think he trends at like 56 to 58 something on the line typically. I think with the running backs out, he's going to be probably projected to be like 70, 75 yards rushing this week. So I think if you can find Lamar cheap rushing yards, I think that's like an interesting play as well. Sorry to jump ahead of you, Allie.
Don't be sorry. That's why everyone tunes into the show, to get your expert analysis here from the expert analysts themselves. It's fine. I got a lot of turkey and stuffing on my mind. But Joey, the last 2 times you said the Steelers are done, I doubted you. But I think if any team is going to do it, the Ravens do have a better chance than just about anyone in the regular season. And I'll throw this in there just to be nice, including my Giants. Woo! I know, different, but still. Well, all right. That is all we have for the Turkey Day football games. Hopefully that'll help you all win a little cash there, impress your family, and then, of course, you can blow it all on Black Friday like the rest of us. But, of course, we can't just give you that and be done. No way. It wouldn't be much of an episode. So let's all look back at our younger years with some college ball. And, hey, it's not all football anymore. NCAA basketball starts again tomorrow. So excited for that. For how long? Well, we don't know quite yet. But guys, I know you both follow college sports, and you're probably two of the guys that do it the most. So what are the games to watch this weekend when we're all stuffed and full with leftovers? And of course, we're sick of our in-laws at that point. Knish, what's your game to watch here?
No, I'm gonna listen. Doing well on college football for the year. And one of my, hey, I'm not going to come on here and not give out a college football player. Are you kidding me? So one that, and I was just checking on here to look up some of the last week. It's Pittsburgh Clemson over. This one opened around 54. It's still trending around 54 and a half. Kenny Pickett threw the ball 52 times last week. He had like 40 passes in the first half. Pittsburgh has completely abandoned any semblance of their rush offense. They're using a little more tempo. They're throwing the ball around. And also, their defense has really fallen off the wagon. Their NFL corner, Paris Ford, he quit the team to start preparing for the NFL draft. And they're going up against a Clemson team that's rested. They didn't play last week. They're going to be angry. They need to come out and have a performance here, especially if Trevor Lawrence wants to get back in the Heisman conversation. I think this is going to be points galore. Pittsburgh going to throw it around the park against a Clemson defense that hasn't been very good. Clemson offense should be able to score at will. This one I really like here. I'm going to look at some Clemson team total over 2, but over 54 and a half in Clemson, Pittsburgh. I think that is a very nice play, and I think you'll see that number ride up as we get closer to the weekend. What you got for me, Danny?
Very cool. Do you think Clemson makes the playoffs, Knish? And what seed do they make the playoffs?
It's basically a playoff game here in the ACC championship with Notre Dame. So I think you'll basically see, I was even looking at there was some 550 out there, Clemson future round, to basically get them in a play-in game here. So they don't have any margin for error now, but they're not going to lose another ACC game, and then you're getting them, versus Notre Dame head-to-head in the ACC championship, Lawrence back. So I'd say they're in good shape. And honestly, if I wasn't a little worried about, what can happen week to week on the Rona, I think Clemson, if you can get them 5-1 or better for a title shot, is a nice look.
I'm glad you brought that up because I actually have a different play on the NCAA, I guess, football championships I just placed.
Okay.
And the number is still there. I really like Ohio State plus 245 to win the NCAA championship. And here's the thought process behind it. It's a little bit of game theory thought process behind the college football. Right now in college football, if you look at the lines, effectively there are 3 legitimate teams: Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State. And then the 4th team is going to be one of these trash teams that enters the playoffs like Florida or Notre Dame. If you looked at that Clemson-Notre Dame game, I think Clemson was like a 7-point favorite on the road with a backup quarterback. So that just shows you how different the market perceives Clemson versus a team like Notre Dame, which is effectively probably one of the significant favorites for the 4th seed. So if you're one of those 3 teams, what you're trying to do is you're trying to fade 2 difficult games. You really want that 1 seed in the scheduling so that you play the really bad 4 seed. So you're like a 10-point favorite or 7-point favorite, whatever it may be. And then that Alabama versus Clemson game is going to be a tight spread, etc. So I have this theory that Ohio State is going to claw into that 1 seed for the college football playoffs, and as a result, fade that tough second game that they're going to have to play, and as a result, make that plus 245 quite I think, a juicy value bet. If you're taking 2 even money games, effectively, you're going to be 260. So if you have 1 game in which you're a 7-point favorite, that price is going to be significantly lower. So that's kind of how I'm looking at the college football markets. So if you get closer towards the playoffs and you see, either one of those teams, Alabama or Ohio State, kind of going as a 1 seed, and you find some decent value on that, I would definitely think about picking that up because that's something that the books won't be thinking so much about.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. We talked about food. We talked about football, maybe even some basketball. That's a full holiday weekend. But we're not quite done with the show yet because Joey Knish asked for it. And, well, we got it back.
Here we go.
Time we play a little game, guys.
Oh, here. Now we're getting...
For the money line is right. Woo! Oh, yeah. Now, Knish, we brought in a ringer here because I think Danny is gonna have the best shot at finally beating you, but we'll have to see if at all, you need a little refresher. That's cool too. I'm gonna give it to you right here. Here are the rules. Very simple. All you really have to do is I'm gonna give you a bet. They are gonna guess what the price is on that bet, and that's it. The closest to the actual line is our winner. Nice and easy. Now I've got 3 lines here. Let's see who's got it. First up, We are going to the NFC West, and we're looking at the divisional title. So it's the Arizona Cardinals to win the NFC West. Knish, you're defending. What's your pick here?
The defending champ? Did you declare the defending champ? I didn't hear exactly. Was that what you were stating?
Pretty much. But I wanted to be nice because,
Listen,
Danny signs a check.
Listen.
Soon to be incumbent champ.
So I think, obviously, Rams got a big victory last night. Seahawks are up there. Cardinals should fall back. I'm going to say I think they're somewhere in the 4 to 6 to 1 range. I'll split it down the middle and say Cardinals 5 to win the West.
Ooh, all right. Well, we're going to lock that in for you here in the studio. Danny, what do you think here?
So here's I'm pretty sure I know the number for this, actually, funny enough, because I was just betting some divisions recently. So I'm not sure what sports books are taking this number from, but I assume it's like DraftKings or FanDuel or something like that. So I'm 90% sure that the number should be plus 600. But I know Joey picked 500, so I'm going to pick 510 just to take the over as a second picker, I guess. So I'm going 510 if he took 500.
All right. Well, we do pull the numbers from DraftKings, so just so you're sure about that. But, the Cardinals are currently at the third favorite behind the Rams and Seahawks. But to win the divisional, the odds are sitting at plus 600. Okay. So our winner here is Danny. What are you thinking here? I mean, the Cards aren't, bad. Obviously, do they have a chance here still? Who do you like for the NFC West? Give us all the hot takes.
Actually, I don't mind the Cardinals, honestly, at plus 600. I think it's like one of these interesting situations where I have the Cardinals to make the playoffs from earlier in the year, which I thought was an interesting bet. I like plus 300 or 350 or something like that. But I think the NFC as a conference is wide open. I think you clearly have the Saints if Drew Brees comes back as the best team. And then you have a whole bunch of questionable teams that all have issues like the Packers, I think, have a few issues. I think the Rams are quite a good team, I think. And the Seahawks obviously have a poor defense. So, I tend to, in the NFC, take the long shots and hope and pray that something weird happens with COVID this year.
All right. Well, thank you, Danny. All right, let's keep it going then with bet number 2. Now, we finally have some college basketball, and we're going to jump the whole season on just some futures because that's just where we're at right now. So Duke University ranked at number 9 in preseason ratings to win the whole championship. So Duke to win NCAA championship. Danny, what are you thinking here? Where's the line sitting at currently on DraftKings? What's your guess?
So I think this line... Duke is like weirdly not as highly rated this year, if I remember correctly, as they have in previous years. I think in previous years they were like 8 or 10 to 1 or something like that. So I'm guessing they're going to be like 12 to 1 or something this year. So I'm going to go with 12 to 1.
All right, cool. Knish, what are your thoughts here?
I would tend to agree. I think Duke is tend to be overpriced in the market on a year-to-year basis. But when I was looking at you, they were up there as a team. They didn't have a first-round pick in the last draft. They haven't been recruiting as well. I think it's going to be higher than 12, and so I'm going to use Danny Tax again. He's going to come here and use it. So I'm going to go 12-01 here, as I think it's more in the 15 to 20 range. And so I'll go, but I'm going to get all the numbers over because I'm going 12-01.
Smart move.
All right, I like it. Obviously pretty refreshing to hear some basketball talk, so we'll get more into that next week once the season is officially kicked off. But anyway, we are talking about the future right here, right now, and in the futures market. Duke to win is currently at a price of plus 1,300.
Oh my God.
So some decent value here for the number 9 team. Yeah. Some decent value there. And of course, the team that is historically performs well. So all right, Mr. Knish, how you feeling about this? Do you like Duke at this number, or do you have another favorite in the basketball champ picture?
Absolutely not. Here's one thing I'll say for college basketball futures. Do not bet the chalk early. You don't know. This season is going to be an absolute roller coaster of canceled games, who's playing, who's getting the seed. We don't even know what the tournament's going to look like. For me, if there's I am not playing any chalk futures early. I would load up on some potential long shots that have a shot to get in because of all the uncertainty. Same as we've talked about on this show and Danny's discussed before in MLB, NFL, college football. We've talked about it. This more so than ever, especially because of the format of the tournament and the teams that can get in. So no, don't lay any chalk early. I would wait if I'm going to lay any chalk prices. It would be much, and see if you can collect a few long shots early. And especially Duke. Duke, I am not a buyer in this Duke team this year. They don't have as much talent as in years past. So no, this is a leave it for me.
All right, thanks, Knish. Now, guys, we just have one more left. Let's stick with college. We spend too much time in NFL
Rubber
this episode.
match.
We're looking at the Big 12 Conference and, of course, the Texas Longhorns. Hook 'em horns, right? All right, well, to do the thing and to win the Big 12 Conference title, Knish, this is college football. University, Texas to win Big 12. You should have this, bud. What is the line
I think
sitting
he's
at
going to
right
have this one over me.
now? We shall see.
I have a
So
feeling
you're
I don't know
talking-
anything about the Big 12. I don't even know a second team in the Big 12. Who else is in the Big 12, Knish? I think it's
doing your
Oklahoma,
research.
right? And who else is even in that conference?
Well, I may or may not have been looking at some conference futures earlier today for a little Pac-12 wager. And, when looking those, there came across the Big 12. So I'm going to go an educated guess here. I'm going to say Texas at 3-1 plus 300 to win the Big 12.
All right, Danny, what are your thoughts here?
Oh my gosh. He got me. That was the exact number I was going to pick as well. This is like the first pick advantage here. Can I go 300 for the tie? I think he has a number on, honestly.
We don't do ties
I'll go
here,
300 as well.
Gotta pick your number, man.
I'll go 301 then. I'll go 301.
All right, 301. All right. Well, the Longhorns have a couple of bigger teams to contend with, like Iowa State, Oklahoma U, but they are the third favorite, and they're sitting at plus 300.
Oh my God, he knew it.
Yeah.
I'm officially petitioning for a recount here. Sorry, I would like a recount on this game. Delay the certification, please.
Oh my God. Well, both of you obviously did so well, but Mr. Joey Knish, you are the winner yet again. So tell me, would you take this, and what's any advice you would give to our fans watching right now?
God, I was so bullish on Oklahoma State to win this guy, and then they've had injuries and they got smashed over the weekend. Basically, what you see this weekend is an Iowa State-Texas play-in game for the Big 12 championship. The game is basically, it was right around -1, so it's right around a pick here for the game. Whoever wins this weekend is likely going to go to the Big 12 title. Oklahoma is just peaking at the right time here. I would leave this alone. I hate to say it because I was so bullish on my Oklahoma State Pokes this year, but they'd have to win out. Iowa State's got another game coming up against that, so I would leave this alone. And fortunately, I wouldn't lay the price with Oklahoma, but they've put it together. Got the best coach. They've got the most talent. And I think the time to beat Oklahoma early here has passed, and they're trending towards regaining the championship here in the Big 12. So for me, I'd leave it alone, and hopefully our Oklahoma State future can make a comeback here second half of the year.
All right, thanks, Joey. And, of course, thank you both for playing. I got to say, Danny, that's probably been our closest match yet. So kudos to you
the
for
rubber
sure.
match.
For sure.
I'll be back for a rematch 1 month from now after a little bit of training. But
Perfect. You got to train from the best of the best, bud. You got to train with Knish one-on-one style. And, of course, Knish, we got to keep you warmed up for the next time we do the game show. And we are almost done for this episode, guys. But we have one more thing to do before we all get going and get ready for that turkey. That is, of course, our best bets. Now, if you're tuning in for the first time, Best Bets is very simple. Danny and Knish are going to tell us their absolute best bet of the week. It could be something they've already said or something completely new. It's just gotta be the best. Now, Mr. Knish, you can go ahead and start us off with the good stuff. Where's your head at?
Yeah, a little Friday night. Yeah, you loaded up on turkey. You priming. You got some leftovers, primed up here. I'm going to go. There's a couple of games I like Friday night, so it'll give them both. I took Nebraska there at 14. I think it's mostly 13.5. I would wait to see if you can get a 14. A 13.5 be okay. I would play it versus Iowa. I think it's a kind of an overreaction to last week's result. Nebraska loses, to Illinois. Iowa trucks Penn State. For me, this number, I had it more around 11, so I think that's a couple points high. I'm still bullish on Nebraska overall this season, and think this is a bit inflated. Also, same around number. I took Oregon State getting the 14 at Oregon. I think Oregon is massively overvalued in the Pac-12. They've had a string of results, come together here that have worked out. They were able to play UCLA over the weekend without Dorian Thompson-Robinson. So Oregon State with a bye team for me this year. Again, this is another one I had a couple points high here. I bought some Game of the Year market futures on this number, and I'm comfortable taking the 2 TDs as well. I think this is another one that can come down. So a couple of Friday night, some Friday night primers when you're in that leftover food coma there for this Friday coming up in college football.
All right, perfect. Thanks for your words of wisdom, Uncle K. Now, Danny, go ahead and give us one more bet, the best one yet, right before Thanksgiving. Get us started.
So, in general, first off, I'd like to say I love Joey's strategy for picking these best bets. I think in general, if you're someone who's not trying to bet thousands and thousands of dollars a game, look at the smaller market college football stuff, look at, college basketball, etc. I think and props, which Joey's the king of. So, I think that's the best strategy. But one number on NFL that jumped out to me is this Atlanta Falcons +3 number, -110. In general, I like to fade kind of the easy money. But if you look at this game, they're playing the Vegas Raiders. The Vegas is -3 on the road, which implies if they're at home, they'd be like a 6.5, 7-point favorite. If you remember the Saints from last week, the Saints at home against the Falcons were a 4.5-point favorite. I know it closed at 3.5, but there was some Taysom Hill stuff, etc. But think about how big of an overreaction that is if you compare team against team. The Saints versus the Raiders, I think most people would take the Saints, and I think if the Saints played the Raiders, they'd be a favorite. So to have the Raiders effectively in this specific game rated a 2.5-point better team than the Saints, I think is a little bit of an overreaction from last week. And I think people are playing way too much into this Atlanta Falcons team is just can't win a game, have a terrible record, etc. So I would fade the public money here. I would fade sentiment, and I think take the Atlanta Falcons, close your eyes, eat some turkey, have a few drinks, and have yourself a great Thanksgiving.
Eat, bet, be merry. There you go, folks. The best bets that Joey and Danny have tucked away just for you guys at home. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if all of you at home just need any of that advice again, just check us out on this show and, of course, get all the best shows around, including the best betting advice as well, on our YouTube channel, Line Sniper HQ, or follow us on social at Line Sniper HQ as well. But that is all for now. We will be back at it next week with even more of the best in betting. And look out for the Betting with the Pros. Oh, no, that is stay tuned. My director just said more on that next time. So a little cliffhanger for you there. Until next time, that has been In The Crosshairs, brought to you by LineSniper.com, your definitive resource for sports betting content and in-game analysis. For the team here in the studio, I'm Ali Melendez. Have a happy Thanksgiving. I'll see you next week.